All right. Hi, guys. My name is Sarah. Some of you know me. Some of you, maybe I'm just an acquaintance, or maybe I am one of your coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. Either way, thank you for clicking and on the link. Why am I making a video? It's actually part of this year's sort of, not resolution, but vision for my year. At the start of the year, I actually made a vision board, and I decided to do it with the kids and Matt, my husband. I am married, by the way, just a quick recap. I think 12 years this year. I'm bad with that. Anyways, been married for a while. And our children are Asia, she's 13. She is a lot like me. She could be, she's creative. I was gonna say she could be called bossy, but you know what? Bossy is meaning she is absolutely going to be a leader someday. She is so organized and empathetic and beautiful and kind and funny. And anyways, my daughter Asia. Judah is our son. He is 10. He is a wild ball of energy, and he is such a deep thinker. He is empathetic, and he probably is the one that he is the one who gives me a daily opportunity to work on my patience. And I thank him for it, because I really need to get better with some of that. Anyways, my kids, my husband, we made vision boards at the start of the year. One of my things I put on the vision board was to do things, or to do something that makes me uncomfortable. And I guess I've been really thinking about that. What does that mean? Originally, I thought, well, I'm going to take maybe put myself into a hip hop dance class. Those of you that have seen my moves know that, it only makes sense that I join a class. Just waiting to be noticed and told that I missed my calling, kind of thing. No, but just for fun. And I think the biggest uncomfortable part of it, not necessarily the class, but at the end of the year, there's a big performance on stage. And that could be a little bit intimidating, but fun. So I think I was thinking of that originally, that, okay, yeah, that's something I can do, that'll push myself, do something not only fun, but push myself a little bit. I don't want to stay comfortable. This year, I want to do things that are like, hey, that makes me uncomfortable. Perfect. I gotta push myself into that. Which made me start thinking about my job, about Orange Theory Fitness. This is not a plug, but I was thinking about how there's actually so many correlations with what I coach daily to life. So here's how it works. Orange Theory Fitness is based on 5 different zones, 5 different heart rate zones. The 3 that I've really been thinking about in life are the last 3. So the heart rate zones are your normal resting heart rate, which I would be right now. This is number 1. We say we code it by color too, so it's the color coded to gray. So I'm relaxed, resting heart rate, gray zone. The next step up is maybe if I went and ran to get a cup of water and I came back down, my heart rate would be pumping just a little bit higher than it was here, and that's the blue. And The next step up is we call it our base pace. It is the green zone. And so that is a zone that if I went outside right now and I decided to go for a nice brisk fast walk or a light jog or a bike ride or, oh, this makes me want spring and summer so bad, guys. It has been a long winter. But that zone would be something that I could do for a minimum, which we say a minimum 20 to 30 minutes, or not minimum, I should say. You could do that for 20 to 30 minutes. And it's challenging, yes, but it's doable. I could maintain it. So that's that third zone. The next one would be if I started to pick up my pace outside. I was like, hey, you know what? This is fairly easy. I want to push myself. I want to start to, get a little bit more, a higher heart rate. And so I'd start to push myself up. I would start running faster. Maybe I'm climbing a hill outside. All of a sudden I'm going uphill. All of a sudden, my breathing is getting heavy. I'm working harder. Maybe I'm running faster. And then the last zone, it's the red zone. You're not dying in the red zone. It's just a natural high heart rate pump where we're really pushing. We call this zone, it's the orange zone. It's 84% and up of our max heart rate. And a lot of the times we say, if you are feeling uncomfortable, you're probably in the right spot. We call this the push pace. We've pushed ourselves. We've leaned into the uncomfortable place. We're making that heart rate accelerate. It's pumping. It doesn't feel that good. It's like, okay, I can do this, but how long do I have to do it? I'll keep going, but oh my gosh, when is it going to end kind of feel. That is the zone that I've sort of been thinking about in correlation to my vision this year and how applicable that actually is in daily life. Man, I love my job. I get to push people. I get to see people come in and day out to show up, when they don't feel like it, when they have had crazy stuff happen at work and they're exhausted, where their body is feeling sore, or maybe they had a fight at home and with their kids and they're just feeling like they need to get out. And so they show up day in and day out and they come into the studio, and for an hour they trust us as their coaches to take them through different levels of intensity and work. And there's many times when I ask the members to give me a little more. Let's give it just a little more. I just need 30 seconds more from you. And I see them show up and they're exhausted, and yet they still lean into the uncomfortable and they push themselves and they do incredible things. They go faster than they thought they could. They lift a heavier weight than they thought they could. They push themselves out of that comfortable place that they're used to. They push themselves into that uncomfortable zone, and that's where the magic happens. That's where the most growth happens. If we stayed in the green zone our whole life, that's good. You are maintaining, but you're not necessarily seeing the growth that you could. You're not necessarily seeing more results that are possible for you. That is so much about what life is. Are we in our life pushing ourselves into the uncomfortable zone? Are we pushing ourselves out of that maintainable, that middle zone, that I'm not necessarily doing anything wrong by coasting here. I'm showing up to my job. I'm, doing what I should as a wife or as a girlfriend or as a boyfriend or as a mother or a father. I'm doing what I should at work. But is there areas that you're avoiding that are the uncomfortable zones where potentially, or the potential for more growth lies waiting for you. You know, in my life, this year I want to push into the uncomfortable zone. We actually ask members to push into the uncomfortable zone. Once they're conditioned and have been there for a while, we start to encourage them. Can you challenge yourself to get 12 minutes out of this whole 54-minute workout? Could we challenge you to get 12 minutes, just 12 minutes or more, in that orange zone, in that orange uncomfortable zone? It doesn't have to be 12 consecutive minutes in a row. I could break it up. I could go for 2 minutes, get uncomfortable for 2 minutes, and then, relax a bit. And then let's push another minute in that zone. And maybe at the end of it all, I have done 12 minutes. I got uncomfortable. I pushed into those zones. Is there areas in our days where we can push for a few minutes into that uncomfortable zone and then pull back? Can we get uncomfortable for 12 minutes or more in our daily stuff? Man, I wrote a list of stuff that the uncomfortable that could potentially be. For me, I'll tell you a few things about me. The uncomfortable stuff. A little bit about my background, which some of you know and some of you don't. This year, I have been really stretched. I have a very deep, deep faith in a God, a creator, somebody who I know has been watching over me my whole life, who has saved my life. I have had miracles happen that you cannot dispute. There's somebody out there, and I will share those with you sometime, where incredible stuff has happened that there is no way it's a coincidence. And because of the miracles that have happened in my life, that I'm here today in the spot that I'm in, just because of my story and all the things that have lined up that have happened, there's all led me to a very strong belief that there is somebody up there, and there is no way I'd be here without God. Plain and simple. I will never apologize for having that belief. It's just, some of it still, when I think of it, blows my mind. I had a hard teenage life, period of time in my life. I struggled with a lot of feelings of, man, I didn't deserve good in life. I wasn't worthy. I'm not going to go into my whole story today, but a lot of stuff happened, betrayals or pain, stuff that really filtered into me, lies about myself that I just really didn't deserve. Joy in life, I really wasn't worth spending time with. Lots of these lies I internalized as I grew up, which led me to lots of painful situations, that, if I had been a confident, full of love and worthy, felt worthy, maybe I wouldn't have had some of this stuff happen at. So some of the painful stuff that happened to me, at age 18, I was in a situation that led to me being raped. And that until 2 years ago, was something that I couldn't actually even admit to having happened to me. So that was over 15 years that stayed stuffed down deep. And why it stayed down deep had a lot to do with blaming myself. I shouldn't have put myself in that situation. How could I have? Comparing. I have no right to feel pain about what happened to me because somebody else's story is way worse than mine, so how dare I even feel anything about what happened to me? Trying to just keep it down and not realizing the poison that was seeping out of a wound that had happened to me. I had been wounded, really potentially a fatal wound, actually. If you think of a gunshot, it doesn't matter where it happens in your body. If you don't go to the doctor and get it taken care of, whether it's your leg or your arm or your chest, if you don't go get it taken care of and you would just let it fester, obviously that's going to be infected and essentially poison you. That is exactly what not dealing with wounds of abuse, rape, neglect, whether it's emotional or physical. Man, there's so many wounds that can happen to us, whether we're young children. If we don't remember, there's still wounds inside of us. And so at age 18, that happened to me. And until 2 years ago, I put myself down for even feeling like myself down for I don't know quite how to say it. I just felt like if I would have known better, if I would have been smarter, if I all these things. So part of the uncomfortable zone, going back to the orange zone, is 2 years ago I actually had to lean into the uncomfortable zone by, there's a saying that says you need to first face it, and then you need to feel it, and then you can heal it. So my leaning into the uncomfortable zone, when I ask you to go harder on the treadmill, I say, I know you're tired. I'm just asking for a little more from you. For me, it was, oh my gosh, I have to lean into something that I am tired and I don't want to have to do this, but I had to turn around and I had to look it head on and I had to say out loud, which guys, for me to literally say the words, I was raped, still is emotional for me. Still hard for me to say that. And I know that it was, for me, it was God that led me. There was all these signs that led me. It was like for me, he speaks to me in so many ways. A lot of times it's just like, I'll hear something on the radio, and for me, it was all these little signs of somebody. I think a couple years ago, there was that girl who had been abused or molested at a college campus, and he started to use things like that. So I heard that, and or then I would read a saying, and then I would read a saying about, and then it was all these signs that all of a sudden in a row were coming at me, and it was like the deep wound was like, for me, God was trying to push it up and say, enough. you can't let this fester inside of you anymore. And so another saying was, the body remembers what the mind doesn't, because my body would bristle in certain situations. And all of a sudden I started being bombarded with hearing it, seeing it, feeling it, and knowing that it was time. And so I knew it was time. And so saying those words, those 3 words, is still hard. But I had to. That was me leaning into the uncomfortable zone, because that's where the change comes. I could coast in the green zone my whole life. I could stay comfortable. I could have the, challenging but doable. I'm pushing myself in ways. I'm taking a hip hop class. Maybe I'm going skydiving. Maybe I am, I don't know, what's things that make us uncomfortable? Think of something. But then there's the deeper stuff. And I can't ignore it. We can't ignore it. And so I had to lean into it and face that. I had to first face it. Then I had to feel it. When you're in that uncomfortable zone, we say you should be feeling uncomfortable. Your heart is racing. Your breathing is heavy. You're like, oh my gosh, I gotta push. That is essentially what happens in life. When we deal with stuff we gotta deal with. Your heart races, maybe your skin crawls, it's uncomfortable, but you know that the only way to the other side is through the uncomfortable stuff. The only way for me to learn to run faster is to run faster. I have to run faster for it to get easier. I have to, if I want to get stronger, I can't stick with 5-pound bicep curls for the rest of my life. I got to set that down. And when I say, my coach says, okay, today I want you to pick up a weight you've never picked up before. Well, that kind of feels uncomfortable. It's a little hard. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, I'm curling 25-pound dumbbells. I never thought I could do that. Look at me go. Or, oh my gosh, I only ever thought that I could walk. And now all of a sudden my coach said, let's try a little bit. Go a little harder, and I bumped up that speed and I started to run, and oh my gosh, I felt like my heart was going to pound out of my chest, but look at me go. I am running when I never thought I could run. There is so much growth and magic that can happen in the orange zone, in the uncomfortable zone. We cannot stay in that base pace. What are some uncomfortable things? I was just trying to think of some stuff. What about the relationship that you need to walk away from and you've been putting it off? Is that an uncomfortable zone? Is it time you do that? What about, I don't know, taking a look honestly at your finances? Being honest about your spending. Are you in, over your head? Do you need help? What about speaking up for yourself to maybe a coworker or a boss who is not treating you like you should be treated? What about the uncomfortableness for some of us married people with bringing back intimacy in our marriage? Maybe that's uncomfortable. Maybe that's something we need to start looking at bringing back because we've let it go. And we're not quite sure how to do it. Maybe there's conversations that need to be had that are uncomfortable, and we need to lean into that. Maybe it's asking for help. For me, that's a huge one. Asking for help. I am so used to handling everything on my own. I grew up thinking I had to handle it all on my own. Leaning in and asking for help makes me so freaking uncomfortable. Maybe that's something you also need to do. Lean into the uncomfortable and ask for help. Maybe it's just admitting, yes, I am struggling. And that's the uncomfortable zone. Maybe it's just deciding today I'm going to stop pretending that everything's okay. And I'm going to pick one person that I trust, and I'm going to lean into that uncomfortable spot, and I'm going to let them know that I am broken and a mess today. Maybe it's being brave and signing up for a course that you've always dreamed of doing, but you always talk yourself out of it in the last minute. Maybe because it's too old, or you're not smart enough. Stop putting all that stuff off. We're never too old. If we work for it, we can have it. We can have what we want. Stop telling yourself you don't deserve it, or you're too old, or you're past the point. Lean into that uncomfortable zone. Go online and start looking, and then press the application. Maybe for today, just like when you show up to the gym, those of you that come to Orange Theory, and we try and we try and we strive to get 12 minutes or more in that orange zone, in that uncomfortable zone. And you know what? Sometimes we show up and we cannot get more than 1 minute in the uncomfortable zone. Maybe we can take that, though, into life and say, can I at least strive for today 12 minutes or more in the uncomfortable zone? For me, some of the things that I can push myself in is, one, this. Can I, for 12 minutes or more, sit in front of a screen and be honest? Sometimes the uncomfortable zone for me, guys, it seems maybe so simple. Sometimes the uncomfortable zone is put your phone away in your room, put it away, come out, and for 12 minutes or more, sit and be present with your children in front of you, with your significant other, whoever that is, rather than being zoned out on your phone in front of you. Maybe the uncomfortable zone is put it away. You feel your heart rate racing. Oh my gosh, I'm detaching from a part of me right now. My phone is an extension of my body and I just put it in the other room. How am I going to survive the next 12 minutes without it? Maybe that's the uncomfortable zone we need to lean into. Maybe it's for me when my husband comes in and I'm kind of pissy and I'm annoyed and I'm irritated. Maybe the uncomfortable zone is going over to him anyway and giving him a big kiss and saying, how was your day? And caring about him rather than the crappy day that I had. That's an uncomfortable zone for me sometimes. Maybe the uncomfortable zone for me is I have to look at my faults, and I have to my husband sometimes say, man, I sucked at that today. My hardest, I can apologize to my kids for some reason, but apologizing to my husband is uncomfortable, a lot more uncomfortable. So then maybe that is then the thing that I need to lean into and I need to do. Leaning into 2 years ago, facing that I was raped, I started to feel it. And guys, then I started to heal it. Healing it only comes after you are able to say it, then feel it. But I couldn't go it alone. I journaled, I read so many books, I got professional help, and it's still a process, 2 years down the line. My story didn't end there. I after that was so broken that I also got myself into a very physically abusive relationship for the next 3.5 years, and I stayed in it. It was physically abusive, and very emotionally abusive. I had just no self-love or worth. Through it all, the one thing I know is that God, who I believe is the creator of all, has so gently pushed me when he knew I was ready to handle it. See, the thing with I wasn't able to deal with being raped for 15 years is it's all timing. You have to trust the timing. I couldn't have dealt with it the year before because I didn't feel safe enough or secure enough in maybe my friendships or with my relationship with my husband. When it actually came to the surface, it was because my body, my spirit, my soul, and God were all in connection saying, okay, Sarah, you now have the support around you that if you allow it to come and you allow the feelings to come, you're going to be safe enough now to deal with it. You have people you can talk to, you have support, you have enough strong faith in God that you're able to now handle dealing with it. And last year you wouldn't have been able to, but this year you had. And so all the signs came together to push it up and out. This is a long video, so I'm going to stop it here. but I think that I just wanted to encourage those of you that show up at the gym day in and day out, and you have proven to yourself that you can push into those uncomfortable zones. And those of you that have no clue what the heck I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you know. You do know what pushing into an uncomfortable zone means. It means pushing yourself out of the comfort zone. Maybe there's dreams that you've been letting sit, and it is time, girlfriend or boyfriend, whoever is listening, it is time to lean into it. And maybe that just means for 2 minutes. Get uncomfortable for 2 minutes. Do something for 2 minutes that makes you uncomfortable. And then maybe a little while later, lean into another uncomfortable thing for another 2 minutes. And maybe you can total 12 minutes or more of getting uncomfortable and seeing, you guys, that's where the incredible growth is going to happen. That's where the incredible magic. I am so blessed. Man, sometimes when I see my members go all out, when they've literally given it their all for the past 51 minutes, and they're exhausted and sweating and tired, and then I say, I just want 30 seconds more, and I want the best of the day right here from you. And they lean into it and they go faster and harder than they have. Guys, I have literally teared up. I have teared up because there's something so brave and courageous and inspiring about seeing it and witnessing physical exhaustion and then giving it one more go. So inspiring. And then I think that is what life should be. Don't give up. You're physically, emotionally, mentally exhausted. Don't give up. Give yourself another 30 seconds. One more time. Come on, you can do it. One more time. One more time, one more time, one more time. Keep leaning into it. Lean into that uncomfortable zone. And then one day you're going to pick up 25-pound dumbbells when you started with 5. And one day you're going to be able to hold your head up high and say, this is my story and this is what happened to me. And I am no longer keeping it hidden, and I will no longer accept shame about what's happened to me. Or maybe I have a relationship with my kids because I put my phone away and I'm able to be present with them because I leaned into the uncomfortable zone of allowing the space. Without screens or technology, I allowed the space to lean into the uncomfortable. Guys, thank you so much for listening. This is a long video. This was my first one, and I have so much inside I want to share. I want to get deeper into the effects of being abused or going through rape. I have a lot that I've learned and a lot that I would love to share with you, and I will. But today, guys, can I challenge you? Today, can you find 12 minutes where you lean into that orange zone and you just get a little bit uncomfortable? Have a great day, you guys.